Chapter 27 of Psychopomp Drive. Written by Janeen Leese-Taylor. Read aloud by SkyAsimaru. Chapter 27 Mutae Tacitae. The inner chambers of the Temple of Silence were decorated with fine silken sheets of black and gold, hand-sewn and intricately detailed. Each one hung from a curved bend in the ceiling and sectioned off areas of the temple, their light-colored tassels brushing the floor like a pretty young woman's party dress. The ceiling in this room was made entirely of thick, clear glass, closer in appearance to an observatory than to a church, and Finley could see the clouds above them drifting past with a lackadaisical gracefulness. Warm sunshine cast bright rays into every dusty corner, and the air felt as warm as a greenhouse in summer. Tacita's heels clicked across the polished marble to the beat of her rocking hips, and the train of her long dress swept from side to side behind her like the tail of a fantastical animal. Disused chairs in warm, stained colors of oak stood to attention before the grand gold-plated shrine, where images of the goddess showed her practicing her magic, purple flowers silhouetting her face. Finley paused to regard the icons as the goddess disappeared into the central alcove. With dark hair and pale skin, the woman wasn't 100 miles away from the one they had met. But they were missing a crucial detail. Or rather, the problem was what she wasn't lacking. In the pictures here, the goddess looked perfectly human, as pretty and as delicate as Columbia kitten tails. Everything all right?" Scrappy asked him, pulling his thoughts and his eyes away from the image before him. He smiled and came to walk by their side, climbing the 3 small steps up towards the altar. "All good. I've just, never been a churchgoer, you know. This is all new to me." He hummed as he allowed his eyes to trace the points where the sunlight appeared above them. "Are all churches this beautiful?" "Not like this," Scrappy replied. "There were never any churches like this where I grew up." "I wish that more buildings showed the sky," Spectre commented in awe, his head tilted back to watch the clouds like a cat might watch the passing of neighborhood cars from a window. Stopping once they reached the tabernacle, the goddess of silence reached into her pocket and pulled out her key once more, using it to unlock the mechanism. The cogs inside whirred and clicked into place, and Finley's ears perked up to take in the unfamiliar sound. The heavy metal door swung open slowly, and Tacita reached inside to pull free the one single item that it contained. A large tome, which must have weighed several kilograms, thudded down onto the table in front of the altar. A black book with aged yellow pages. It smelt strongly of musk and altar smoke when Tacita turned the pages. Black and white images rushed by as her eyes scanned the contents for the spell that she had in mind. Finally discovering what she was looking for, her finger and thumb grasped the pages in question and stopped her advance with a whispered, "Aha! Here we go," she breathed, using both hands to pull the sections apart. In front of them, detailed in a language Finley didn't recognize, were the words to a spell. The goddess reviewed the text with a hum, trailing a finger across the words as she read. "It looks like we need a conduit." Finley tilted his head, ears twisting to one side. What's a conduit?" "Think of it as a link between this world and the worlds above," Mutae Tacitae explained. "You'll need to use an object to bind the spell. Use its effects from afar."
"I assume taking the book with us is out of the question?"
Scrappy asked.
"Even if you did bring the spellbook to the in-between, it's far too cumbersome for you to carry on your patrols. No, I think something much smaller is required."
Pulling out one of the golden metal drawers in the side of the marble shrine, Mutae Tacitae produced a series of small, glittering pebbles. She laid them across the table, their cut edges perfectly reflecting the light from above and scattering it across her olive skin. She brought one of the stones up to eye level, and purple magic raced down her arm and into the object, making it glow with power in her grasp. Pulses of energy radiated from it, practically vibrating the air around them. She opened out her palm and extended it out towards the silver-haired Amarini next to her. "Now, take this and swallow it," she commanded. Finley arched an eyebrow, looking down at the object in her hand. You want me to eat it?" "Don't worry, it's perfectly safe," Mutae Tacitae mollified, dismissing his concerns with the wave of a hand. The Amarini reached for the stone and then placed it on his tongue, swallowing it down in one gulp. He was expecting to feel a sudden rush of energy, to feel the thrum of its power in his doll, but was almost disappointed whenever he felt nothing at all. His bright eyes turned back to the goddess again as he frowned. Now what?" he asked. "Now you just have to say the words of the spell," she answered. "Repeat after me, little spirit. Mutae Tacitae." "Mutae Tacitae," Finley echoed, and the air suddenly rushed around his ears with a loud boom. The temple surrounding him had been zapped of all its color, and he stared down at his own hands in wonder as their own natural shades were blasted away. Like a sketchbook drawing, the objects and people were outlined with darker shades like black and brown, with each internal color replaced with a different shade of gray or off-white. He blinked and raised his head towards Mutae Tacitae. "Wow! What is this?" The goddess seemed amused, observing him with a smile as she cocked her head. "The power of silence," she started, walking around him in a circle as she watched the power overcoming his entire body. "At the beginning of the universe, there was nothing but endless silence. And then there was—" "A bang?" Finley finished. "Precisely," she answered. "When the universe whispers, you whisper back, my young Amarini. And I guarantee that no hollow will be able to stand against you." Saulo was the first one to speak up when they exited the door to the necromantion. The fur on the back of his neck spiked up in alarm as their 3 forms appeared from the din.
"You've returned,"
he elated, rushing to stand by their feet, his ears pointed and alert and his eyes wide.
"What of the goddess? The spell?"
Finley held up a small velvet sack triumphantly in his right hand. It was tied at the top with a thin line of black ribbon. Inside, more than 400 tiny stones, chinked together when it moved.
"We should have more than enough for each of Psychopomp Drive's Amorini."
The Grim released a sigh of relief, bright eyes glowing with the color of a sky after sunset.
"This is excellent news,"
he praised.
"Well done. I will send word to Aaron and the other gods immediately."
The fleeting glow of lit embers caught his attention, and Finley turned as Reichardt took another wordless pull from his cigarette. He was leaning against the far wooden railing, frowning to himself. His clothes were disheveled and dirty. His usually neat hair spiked in all the wrong directions. His long, dark tail flicked from side to side at the very tip, something that happened often when the man was lost in his own thoughts.
"Is he all right?"
Finley asked the group, lowering his voice. Alvaro cleared his throat, shifting his weight where he was sat on the ground, just outside the door, his jacket laying across his lap.
"The trials can take a lot out of old spirits like us. Those tests in there make you face some harsh truths. He'll be fine in a day or 2. Don't you worry."
"Kakoste?" Micah questioned, rushing forward to inspect the silver-haired Amarini with 2 large, motherly hands. She reached up to rub a line of dirt from his face, sticking her thumb into her mouth and scrubbing his skin roughly.
"Are you all right? You were gone for so long. We thought something might have happened to you."
Finley made a face and pulled away with a soft laugh, shoving at her meddling hands.
"We're all right, Mama," he assured her. "Just tired more than anything, I think." "Then I believe that is our cue to go home,"
Saulo said, mewing as he stretched out his long, thin body. Alvaro groaned as he got to his feet, reaching out to pat the shoulder of the youngest member of their group. Spectre grinned in response to the man's unasked question, leaning closer to the contact.
"Home is sounding really good right about now."
Finley watched the group of Amarini as they made their way alongside the river, smiling and talking to one another as the phlegathon glowed with orange fire on their left. He jogged to keep up with them, taking his place as the 8th of Saulo's spirits, with something that felt a lot like pride. He grinned at Alvaro as the man threw an arm around his shoulders as well, messing up his hair with what could only have been described as affection. In them he could sense a bittersweet pain, a knowledge that none of them were invincible, even in this strange version of purgatory. John States Anderson was the first of them to fall, but Finley knew there was always a chance that he wouldn't be the last. Still, he wanted to hold on to this feeling for as long as he could. This group of people, this bizarre and awkward version of a found family, was already beginning to feel so much like home.
Home,
he mused, smiling at their retreating backs as they laughed and teased and grieved together. That was exactly what he was fighting for. Home. To be continued in Chapter 28.